Aliens are out there, as we most agree. They're here. And I was raised very religiously, and I know scriptures fairly well, so that's what brought me to my book, Quantum Bigfoot, trying to figure out the enigmas associated with these things and what they could be, because they are giants. They're huge. And then you find out there's other things like the dog man and different things like that going on. And then, so I started traveling the world. When I rented this thing in 71, I started researching, first of all, the Bible, trying to find out there were giants in the Bible, what they were, the Nephilim, and fallen angels, da-da-da-da-da. Well, that has led me all the way through into the cuneiform text from the Anunnaki, because they were giants, shiny ones from the sky. And then the story of that fits right in with the first part of Genesis. So to me, it all kind of fits.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Sensible Hippie Podcast, and I'm your host, the Sensible Hippie. Today we're venturing into a mysterious and unexplained navigating through the dense forest of the unknown. Before we dive in though, I just want to remind you to follow us and hit that like button to stay updated with all our explorations. Well, today we have a very special guest on the show, Ron Morehead, a name that's become synonymous with the intriguing world of Bigfoot. Author of Quantum Bigfoot, Ron brings a unique perspective, blending the enigmatic existence of these creatures with insights that challenge our understanding. So, grab your favorite cup of tea and get cozy. Let's uncover the mysteries that Ron Morehead has to share. Without further ado, let's welcome Ron Morehead to the show. Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you.
And I don't hear the buzzing.
I don't either.
It must have been Riverside. It had to have been. That was very strange.
Strange things happen here in wonderful Wonderland. Well, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Thank you again for coming on this show, and I'm sorry about the glitch.
No problem. We're done now, and we got it
Yes.
figured out.
But first of all, where are you located? Are you by the sea?
North Carolina.
Oh, you're not even by the Sierra Mountains,
Not
but you
anymore.
go there. Oh, you used to live down that way.
Yeah. Moved out here about 3 years ago.
Oh.
And started doing conventions out here, and anyway, I've seen the other part of the ocean.
Yeah. So did you ever bump into Bigfoot where you are now?
More than that, I have not personally, but there's a lot of it around here, and there's a lot more of it down in Tennessee and south of here. But it's all through this area, really. That and the dog man, which is.
I was going to ask you about that.
Oh, I've been taken out to this land between the lakes, which is 170,000 acres, huge park. It's not a park. It's government land anyway, and. People have been killed out there by dog. It's really aggressive sounding. And these guys, I spoke at the convention here a weekend before this one, and in Georgia, and we drove over there to go to this where they wanted to take me. One of them's a retired deputy who's been working that land and inspect things and do things there, and he got caught up in the dog man because they seen one straight on, scared the heck out of him. So. And then another guy, he was retired he was one of the mayors there, and he also got involved with this guy. They're very good friends. So they wanted me to go see a dog man. Well, they took me into these sites, but I didn't see one. We spent the night, but it's all adventure. No telling what's out there because things are so crazy nowadays with all this genetic manipulation going on, what have you.
Do you think that's part of what this could possibly be, the dogman kind of a manipulation with DNA, or do you think they're, I don't know, something else?
Well, I think there's so many things out there we don't see. We only see within certain frequencies, and we can put this on your program if you want to, or you can dub it in later, whatever you want to do.
No, I'll put it in.
But aliens are out there, as we most agree. They're here. And I was raised very religiously, and I know scriptures fairly well, so that's what brought me to my book, Quantum Bigfoot, trying to figure out the enigmas associated with these things and what they could be, because they are giants. They're huge. And then you find out there's other things like the dog man and different things like that going on. And then so I started traveling the world. When I rented this thing in 71, I started researching, first of all, the Bible, trying to find out there were giants in the Bible, what they were, the Nephilim, and fallen angels, da 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 da. Well, that has led me all the way through into the cuneiform text from the Anunnaki, because they were giants, shiny ones from the sky. And then the story of that fits right in with the first part of Genesis. So to me, it all kind of fits pretty good. So I started researching all that, and it's become very exciting, really interesting to see how it all really works, and how I think it works anyway.
How do you think they work? Is it the fallen
Genetic,
angels?
yeah, I think the fallen angels were the Anunnaki, and they manipulated the genetics of different species, mainly troglodytes that were here, caveman, and that beget the demigods, and then you've got humans after that. So some Bigfoot, they're not all the same, by the way, but some Bigfoots have been here for eons of time, and they have evolved, and they've also crossbred with indigenous people, and that's made some of them more human-like. Which that means they have to have 23 pairs of chromosomes, but they do have a human component to them, and I've established that with my studies, because I've got the PhD in electronical engineer from Wyoming Wyoming University, University of Wyoming, sound engineer, sound technician. He studied these things, the sounds we recorded for a year, to find out they were real. They were not manipulated. They were not speeded up or slowed down or anything like that. They were real, and they were made at the time of recording. No 60-cycle hum. A year-long study he did on them, and he came out with a paper, and it was put in a book, Man Like Monsters on Trial, but it was also presented at the University of BC in British Columbia in 1978, when he addressed it to a bunch of academia. There was about 400 there, and he said these things, what they recorded there, and they say they because we were recording, and we all took tape recorders in, but what we recorded represented something over 8 foot tall. At least one little piece that he examined was, and it was outside the human range, what humans do normally. And they also can talk inside the human range, which that's what we hear. So that was good, but it didn't get academia on board with it all. They just didn't agree. It has to be a primate. It has to be an ape, something like that. Got to go away from the zoo, or it has to be a remnant of the Gigantopithecus or something like that. It's supposed to have gone extinct, but they think, well, no, they must still be around or something if these things exist. And so there's not too many scientists that want to really approach this, because they lose credibility. They lose possibly tenure. They could possibly lose, for sure, use their next funds for their next project. And I know these guys, because I talk to them. I do conventions with them, because they're still on board with the ape in the woods theory. So anyway, later on in 2008, we had a cryptolinguist retired from the Navy as a cryptolinguist, which studies codes and languages that you don't know what they are, and see if they are a language. If they are a language, he would transcribe them and report it. So his whole career in the Navy was to do that. And so he says thousands of hours. He calls them under the cans, like you got on, and listened to sounds to see what they were. He listened to our sounds by accident when his son was looking for a project, and he thought he heard language in there, and so he actually made a trip out from Missouri, where he was teaching languages there, and he came out to interview me and one of the other guys, and got the context of sounds, asked if he could study them. So he took them back and came out with a statement. He transcribed a language in it. He said these things have a language, their own unique, very unique language, a complicated language. They speak very rapidly, and he says that's what they are. Well, still, a lot of people couldn't believe that, because only humans, according to Dr. Lieberman, Brown University, only humans have the hyoid bone into the tongue, nervous system, in the brain. So I can talk to you like I'm doing now. And so if only humans have that, and these things have it, and they represent something over 8 foot tall, there's a human component to them. So here we go. The Anunnaki again, I think, made something. They put the attribute for language in it, in this one anyway. I don't think, again, they're not all made the same, in my opinion. I say that because I've been into Peru, I've been into Nepal, I've been all over looking at this stuff and seeing what other people have on it. And so really, you got those three components, and we've had several people trying to debunk them or face, no, they can't do it, but no one has been able to do that because they're real. And so there you are. This all happened in the Sierra camp, in Sierra Nevada mountains of California. And started in 1971 and went through to still going on as far as I know, but not with me. I haven't been up there. Nobody else has since the fires. But it's 8,000 feet elevation, and it's 8 miles in the wilderness, a very imposing trail to get to or to go on. And I've had a few broken ribs going in there, just falling off the cliff or something. So anyway, just bump in here with questions whenever you want to, and kick me back, straighten me up.
No, I want to hear you talk as and say whatever you need to say without me interrupting you. People don't want to hear me; they want to hear you talk. That's for sure.
Well, but you might have questions that they would have.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. In your book, Quantum Bigfoot. Are you suggesting maybe that Bigfoot may have the ability to elude humans through quantum effects, like portals or something like that?
Strange you would ask that. That's in my new book, by the way, how that happens. Because what Al Berry, he was the investigative reporter we took in, he actually fostered the sounds at the University of Wyoming, and he was a serious man. He had a master's degree in science, and he said, whatever you do, stay with science. Don't talk about this weird stuff that's going on up here, or no one's going to listen to you. I think put you in a funny farm or something. So anyway, there has to be an answer to every question. I mean, you can't have a question without an answer. So I got into quantum physics because that explains, in my view, a lot of the enigmas that's associated with what we were dealing with up there. So am I suggesting that quantum physics has something to do with these things? Yes. How do they do what they do? Dr. Paul Dirac, in 1933, won the Nobel Prize for antimatter. That's the exchange between energy and matter. Matter and energy. Matter can change into energy. Einstein suggested that also mathematically. Prior to that, Dr. Dirac, though, had the Nobel Prize for it. That was established absolutely by CERN in 2012 when a particle changed into energy. Well, you can't see energy. Most people can't. I think cats can, but most people can't. We only see within 430 and 770 terahertz. That's our frequency, because everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. That's just the law. So we can't argue with that one, okay? That's Tesla too, that's physics. So if we, at our most minute level, are energy, which we are, and we vibrate at a frequency, which we do, you find the frequency of anything, according to Einstein now, this is his statement, you find the frequency of anything, you can change its matter. Wow. How do you do that? How do you find the frequency of what you want to change? Well, you don't have faith of mustard seed, I guess. You got to know that you can do it, first of all. So you got to know who you are as a human, how we were made. But if energy and matter are interchangeable, they are. If these things can find the frequency or can somehow manipulate, and I think they do it through the vocal mechanism because it's so expansive. We've had other people listen to this, and they don't even know how high or how low they can go. But one study that was done said they can do 5 octaves in one, 5 somethings in one that only humans can do 3. Okay, 5 octaves in one tone or something like that, and humans can't supposedly do that. So if they can reach the frequency to change their matter into energy, they would go out of your perception, and that's our frequency is our light's perception. So that's how track waves would stop too. A lot of people report disappearing track waves, how they just stop. First reported by Fred Beck in 1924. That's 100 years ago. When he supposedly shot one, him and some miners back behind Mount St. Helens. and then they had been experiencing these monsters around them, Bigfoot really, for quite a while in their mining camp. And they'd followed the trackway one time in the snow, or in the mud, excuse me, by this lake, and they stopped. And he's wrote in his report that it would had to have jumped 160 feet to have not left another track. Well, how do they do that? It's energy transfer. They transfer their matter into energy. Their density stops. They don't have any weight anymore, so they don't leave a track. So that answers that one. And some people, I've also had people report to me that they've saw them disappear, just cloak out like in The Predator. And I've had some very credible people, a couple of them told me that. So they're not all the same. Some can do it, some of them don't. I think they all have special abilities, so that we have yet to understand. I think we're getting closer and finding out how they do what they do and why they do what they do. Okay, your turn.
How many species do you think there could possibly be, or that you know of?
How many species?
Of
Species?
Bigfoots.
Oh, I have
Yeah.
no idea. There could be
There's a lot.
there could be hybrids all over this planet. I mean, not just Bigfoot, but all kinds of things that we don't see. We're very limited as human beings with our vision. We don't see everything there is to see. We don't smell everything there is to smell. Our olfactory sense a bear's olfactory sense is 20 times better than ours. Yeah. And infrasound and ultrasound, we don't hear those, but they're out there. So if you can understand that there's so many things we don't know, then you can open your mind up. Let's learn some new things. And what got me into this too, when I was a little boy, I used to be a little boy, by the way, a long time ago, in a land far away. How far is it to the end of the universe? Because we're all based and conditioned in Newtonian physics. Everything is measurable, predictable, physical or material, but that's not true. Everything's not. Only in our third dimensional environment is everything that way. There's other dimensions, and most people realize that, and even religious people. You die, you're going to go to heaven. Well, that's got to be another dimension because you're not here anymore. So what happens? Well, according to physics, there's 10, maybe 11 dimensions, depending on how you want to treat the string theory, the theory of everything or something like that. I'm not a physicist, but I learned a little bit about it, enough to talk, or I can mess people's brains up if they want to listen to me. But it all got started with Bigfoot. And I wrote the quantum Bigfoot because I believe the quantum theory works within what we dealt with in the Sierras, what they were doing. And they were right around us sometimes, but we didn't see them. This was mostly at night and evening time, so we didn't think much of it. Never considered any of this stuff then. Never. We were just dealing with some kind of ape out there. That's what we thought. And some people still do that. I mean, thank goodness that some people are getting out of the woods now and really thinking a little bit more. And I encourage anybody to check into how all things work through the universe. That's according to Dr. Christopher Barrera at West Texas A&M. Everything from the atom throughout the cosmos works in accordance with quantum physics. Not that we have to discard our Newtonian physics, because we have to live by that. We know this desk is here. We know that, everything's there, but measurable. Well, we got to expand that a little bit and get out of what we're conditioned with, our box. And that's where I really emphasize is know who you are as a human being, made in the image of something very special, a high frequential being. And it gets interesting. The more you get into it, the more you want to get into it. But Bigfoot brought me to where I am today.
Yeah.
Talking with you in Hawaii. Here I am in North Carolina.
Yes, I know. Technology is awesome in that way. That's for sure. I believe you mentioned in your book that throughout your ongoing encounters, I think you said up close encounters with a family of Bigfoot. Does that mean you were kind of followed them around, or they followed you around and you saw them growing up?
No, they came in to our camp. I never finished what I was saying. When one guy got scared off up there, he wouldn't go back. And the other guys, nobody knew what the wives didn't know. Nobody knew what they were dealing with up there, some kind of monster. And he wouldn't go back. The wife said, "You got to go back and see if the guys are okay," because they didn't come out when they were supposed to, the other ones. So he said, "I'll go," because I was friends with them all, but I wasn't a hunter at the time. So that's how I got involved. That's how I got in there. And I just became part of the group. He wouldn't go back, though. He just wouldn't. But it's been exciting, I got to tell you. I interacted with them. I saw them once, just once.
Just
Out of
once.
all the time, just once. Well, no telling how many times they were around us, but I didn't see them. Never thought of it. But they were sometimes very close to our shelter, just a big group of trees that grew in a circle. We leaded up some deadfall against them and made a shelter out of it. And yeah, we tried to get a picture. We underestimated what we're dealing with because they were just very intuitive and never thought of them being smart like they are. And they are very, very, that's why they stay elusive from humans so much. That's why humans can't find them.
So how did you see that? Take me to that time when you actually saw one.
In 1974, they started with us in 1971, so we've been dealing with them, and they were really aggressive sounding to start off with. I mean, really aggressive sounding, and I don't know if they were trying to intimidate us, scare us out of camp, or if they were thinking about eating us. I don't know, but we didn't shoot at them, and we were all carrying guns. Believe me, we had guns. It's a hunting camp too, so that's okay. But we didn't shoot at them, as close as they were, right outside the shelter from somewhere a couple of the guys did get glimpses of them through the cracks of the walls of the shelter. One of the Johnson brothers did. And he said it was between 8 and 10 foot tall. It was walking right close by the shelter there. We set up camera traps and all kinds of things, but I didn't see one until 1974, actually. Didn't physically see one. And people say, well, if you don't see what made the sound, you don't know what made the sound. I don't care what you think about the sounds or what the science says about the sounds. If you didn't see it, you don't know it. Well, that's Newtonian thinking all the way through, but they never got into how can something disappear. Yeah, they can. But while I get back to your question, they were interacting. They came into camp. I said Bill and I came into camp. Him and I were packing supplies in on horses and mules, and he was unloading the mules, and I was get a fire going to get something to eat. And we heard this pounding going on rhythmically, and then rocks cracking regularly. Then we hear these whooping sounds going on, and these things are here. They're here already. We're just getting dusk, And anyway, one of them made this cry called the samurai cry. That's been coined years ago. And I seen it going down through the trees where there was a youngster and a female, we think, down there by the creek. And that's what we recorded. And I was recording that night too. So I got all this on sound. So I got to see this thing that was making the sound. So you saw what was making the sound. Like people say, well, they hit on trees. Well, never heard anybody say they saw one hit on a tree, but they do hit on trees. However, there's more to trees than just that. I got a whole chapter of trees in my new book, just in case we can't bring it up. I'll show it to everybody. Is that backwards?
Nope, it's perfect.
Well, I just released this, and anyway.
Yeah, tell me about the trees.
You want to hear about trees? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that started off a long time ago when somebody said I saw Bigfoot. All I do is ducking a log out of my property and cutting up some firewood. And this guy was sitting out there watching me from the edge of the woods. And I said, well, shut his chainsaw down. By the way, this guy is someone you listen to. He's a huge guy, hardly ever talks. Married to a Native American, a lady. And he said, I set my chainsaw down, started walking over towards it, asking what I was doing here. And it stood up. Then he realized this is not a man. This is huge. And it walked behind a big bush. He said the bush was 7 foot tall. He's seen its head go behind the bush. So he had to tell me because he knew my involvement in these things. It's kind of got around a little bit. And that got me started. Well, okay, they don't like him cutting his tree or something. Then I started all these reports where people see them. A lot of people see them when they're clear cutting forest. And a good friend of mine, Peter Byrne, who just passed away this last year, or a few months ago, really. I don't know if you ever heard his name or not, but he's pretty iconic in Nepal, and he's the one that really got Al Berry involved. He said he interviewed some workers, 8 of them, 8 men, all had a consistent story, seeing this Bigfoot come in. They were They were clear cutting trees in this forested area in Oregon. So, and I've heard this many times before, and I finally put it together. They don't like people cutting trees. They don't like it, but they don't interfere. A lot of them, they're not supposed to interfere with our karma, our decision making. Where our decision is being to cut trees down. There's a lot of trees. Let's cut them down, build a house, or build some furniture, or do something, burn them. So anyway, trees are important to these things. I was on the Discovery Channel, Alaska Killer Bigfoot here a couple of years ago. They took me into Alaska to a place called Portlock. And this Portlock is in late 40s. They abandoned the village because of something. Bigfoot-like creature was mangling the people. And they lost about 36 people. And they just left the village, but they didn't want to go back. And so when they took me in there, they flew me in by helicopter from Homer, Alaska. And I circled the place a lot with the helicopter. I looked over everything pretty good when I went in and landed me, and then we looked it over for 2 or 3 days. The pictures I had seen from the past when they were fishing it was just, my gosh, what a fishing place. No wonder they want to re-habituate it, because no one's been there since the 40s, late 40s. They want to habituate it. They want to do that again. But when I was flying over it, I noticed they had been heavily timbered years ago. There's some big trees up, but there was some bigger. So I could see where a lot of timbering had gone on. So I sensed that they were overfishing it. And they were also mining the area, I found out. They were really encroaching upon somebody's habitat. And I think if one of these things had came out of the woods and said, don't, or yelled at them like, don't do this anymore. I'm sure he didn't say that like that, but they'd probably shot at it. That would have really got angry, and they would probably started messing with them. And that's what started the whole ruckus. So my suggestion was, and that's why they took me up there, my suggestion is to respect the property, respect the land. And that's something we don't do today even, we don't respect the land. And if we just start respecting things more, I don't hunt anymore. I started hunting when I got involved with those guys, but I respect everything now as much as I can. I don't, because there's a trick to getting through this environment that we're trick to getting out of our third dimensional environment, get it where we're supposed to, what we're made to be like. We're made to be, I believe, ninth dimensional beings. Most aliens are in the fifth and sixth. You go through the fourth of time. And I say most aliens. So the Anunnaki were ninth dimensional beings. They were shiny ones from the sky. I think they were the Nephilim. When we get right into biblical text too, it just talks about them a lot. But the cuneiform text, which is Mesopotamia from the Sumerian tablets, talks extensively about it. They've got over thousands of these tablets that they've written. It's the earliest form of language written. And it's been deciphered or transcribed or translated. Started in the 1800s is when it started, and they've really analyzed that a lot. But it doesn't fit with what we've been taught, with what our framework says. So I go on and on, but did I say enough about trees?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
One more thing about trees, I got to tell you. I know 2 people. One of them's a doctor. He's a PhD. And the other one is good people. But they swear, and they're not together. They're totally separate people. They don't mess with each other at all. It's a bad thing to say, wasn't it? What they done, one of them says they go into trees. They actually go inside of trees. I thought, well, she's putting a funny farm by a lot of people because she said that. Well, then this PhD says the same thing. He says he's seen them. They energize in trees because they have to have energy, and their material when they're in our three-dimensional environment. When they want to go out of it, they can energize into a tree. So I wanted to say that because Native American lore says they live in trees. So you put all that together. I got a whole chapter on trees in my new book, just because of that. And I believe these people they're sincere in what they're saying. Whether it really happened or not, I didn't see it, but then maybe I have and didn't know it. Because when I was up there in 2011, trying to get more data on these things, it's the last time I really heard the chatter. And it started off with a huge knock. And I relate that in my first book, Voices in the Wilderness, as one of them hit a tree, because that's what they'll do. But now I wonder, it was so loud, it's right next to me. I think it might be their energy coming out of the tree. Okay, that's all I want to say about trees. That's already got me written off with a lot of people.
No, that's great. That makes sense. It's almost like what like David Paulides, and he talked about in his 411, people just disappearing like that in the forest or in the parks. I mean, maybe that's what they're utilizing these trees. They're
Yeah.
portals.
The last time I was up there was with David Paulides, and that was in 2018. He asked me to go in and film the camp because I've never taken anybody in there because of the situation there. I took him and his videographer up there along with Scott Nelson, the cryptolinguist, and we got there and he filmed me. But he filmed 2 years prior to that. I was up there and seen this with my wife now, and her and I both watched this elongated light float by us, and he asked me to point just how it went, and then later they put it in the film clip. So if you want to see that, this was just like an orb, except it wasn't round. It was just an elongated light, like a fluorescent light or something, but it wasn't glowing like that. It was just lit. Has intelligence because it was just moving through the trees, and you don't know what to do with that. But nothing up there surprises me. Nothing. Like, I don't get surprised anywhere anymore. I wouldn't have got surprised if I just saw a dog man. Well, I might have been, but anyway. If you want to see that, it's in Missing 401 The Hunted. And I'm about 15 minutes segment in David Paulides' video there. He and I are good friends. He wrote the foreword to this book right here.
Oh, nice.
For
Oh,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine. And
Oh, I reached out to him, but he hasn't reached back out to me yet.
he's pretty independent.
Mm.
He's a retired investigator, and a lot of people, yeah, I mean, he's a good guy though.
Yeah. Yeah, he is good. I really enjoy listening to his things, that's for sure. You mentioned with your Bigfoot that I don't think you finished about seeing them for the first time.
That was 74. Yeah, I saw this shooting down through the trees really fast, faster than I don't know how anybody could go through the woods that fast. I was stumbling over a log or something. There's just a lot of debris up there, and that's all I saw. Him shooting down to the other two. I was recording, so there was a little voice. It sounded like a big voice coming down on it. Then there's a samurai cry from up here. He shoots down to them, and that was my interaction that night. I had a lot of that things going on that night with them, and they were asking me a question. They were asking me something. According to cryptolinguists, it was definitely a question. Just don't know what it was. And at the time, again, we didn't know what we're dealing with. Just it's pretty cool. Whatever it was, pretty cool. Not scary anymore because they hadn't eaten us, and hadn't carried us away or nothing. So we're okay with it. We just got to learn something from it, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the deal of that night. And I put it on my second CD, which is on my website, downloadable, and the sounds and everything. And it's in that book, the one I mentioned. There it is in the back of my desk there. Voices in the Wilderness, it's called. And it's my chronicle of doing this 40 some odd years when I wrote that. I've been doing it 50 some odd years now. But in that book, I've got a link that you can tag into and hear the sounds. When I get to the context of the sound I'm talking about, you can hear the sound. So that makes it fairly popular. Anyway, that's just.
When you saw the Bigfoot, could you smell them?
No.
A lot of people say they smell something very foul.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot, but we didn't.
Ever?
Well, once, but that was once. But I don't know it was Bigfoot. I don't know what it was. But there was one of those nights when Bigfoot behind our shelter, we heard him mess around up there, but we also heard a cab being tore apart. Rummaging something. Oh, well, they don't ever do that. What's going on? So we looked out there with a flashlight. This is midnight, right at midnight, and it was a bear. He was getting what he wanted out of our food, mostly the apples that we brought up. So we thought, well, that's not right. We got to eat those things. So we went out and shoot him off. He ran away. Black bears do that, and there are a lot of bear up there. And he circled the camp, and we went back in and lay down. And we was in our underwear, by the way, just sleeping in a sleeping bag. So must have looked, I mean, if someone could have seen it, it'd been funny. Probably wasn't funny to the bear later on, I guarantee you that, because we ended up having to shoot him. He came back in. We shoot him off again. Went back in again. We loaded up our guns. We didn't keep them loaded generally, unless we thought we were threatened or something. So we went out there with the guns, and he started running off again and went out about 30 feet, stood up on his hind legs and looked at us. That's when he looked pretty big. He dropped down and started coming right back towards us. He wanted the food more than we did, I guess. So shot him. And the next day we skinned him out. And if you want to see something weird, he looked like a person then. And just, but we ate we recycled him, let's put it that way. So it's sad, but I feel bad about that, but nothing can be done now. He would have probably tried to eat us too. I don't know.
Right. Have you ever played the Sierra sounds to other primates like monkeys or gorillas or different animals and see their reaction to that?
I haven't personally, but I've heard people have. And yeah, dogs especially, they'll look, well, they're not a primate, but they will cower down. It really freaks them out. And a lot of people say, I tried to get somebody to do that at this one zoo one time. It was years ago. I haven't tried anything like that in a long time. I'm an old guy now. And this all started with me when I was 29 years old. So
wow.
I've been doing it for, I have to add that up.
I know when I played it to my cats, they didn't care less about it. They just looked at it and was like, whatever.
Yeah.
They didn't care.
Cats are strange. They can
I
see
know.
outside of our parameters. They can
Exactly.
see. I had let me tell you this. Can I tell you this little story?
Please.
Yeah, this lady was walking in the woods with her cat, and I knew her. She's a school teacher, and she was filming her cat walking through the woods, and the cat just started going like that, looking at something. And she, what's he? Because she knows, she's a smart girl, and she's filming this. All of a sudden, you're seeing this pixelization floating by her over in the weeds, probably 10 feet away. I mean, it was something. That cat was watching it, and she filmed it, but she didn't know what it was. But falls right into my theory on energy and matter. But the cat can see it. Cats can see, but nothing freaks a cat out, Harley.
I know. They go by sound or sight or something because when I played it, I meant smell or sight, because when I played it, she knew that it was just a recording. It wasn't anything to be afraid of.
I think they see energy.
Yeah, they definitely, because
yeah.
I'm sure you've seen videos of cats just staring at something and there's nothing there. We can't see it, but they see something.
So right.
They always do. My cats will do that. And it's like, what are you looking at? It's scary, especially at nights.
Well, there was a movie here years ago called Ghost with Lady Moore. Well, anyway, the cats gave it away because the cat was seeing the ghost and the people couldn't.
Oh, is that Demi Moore?
Yeah, Demi Moore. And, oh, come on. He died, the guy.
Oh, Patrick Swayze.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. That was a good movie. But, yeah, cats are different.
We should have different octanes.
Should have took a cat up there with us. Maybe we'd have known
where these have. Yeah, they would have told you. That's for sure. Wow. I also wanted to ask you, let me see, you answered a lot of my questions. Oh, you mentioned in a book about, it's obviously nothing that you saw, but it may have been a story that was told to you about a Bigfoot and his eyes was lit up like lights when he was looking down at some peanuts on the ground.
Cones. Yeah. Cones. A lot of children have that. They can see in the dark. Actually, they're light. You collect light, and it'll shoot out at you can. Yeah, there was a report given to the BFRO, I think it was .org, and about this guy that was sitting in the forest at night, and he seen this Bigfoot, or he seen these lights coming down, and I guess he left some peanuts out or something. This Bigfoot was following the peanut trail, but he had cones coming out, and there was a guy who said, "Oh, they can't do it." Well, no, they can't do it. Anything collects light in the daytime can see at night, pretty much. And that's the story that I read. I thought that was kind of fun because this guy we took up there in 2011, my wife and I, when we rode in on horseback, and he went up there with us because my wife didn't want to be just me up there. She was more than just me to protect her. He didn't see the light that we had. We saw he was in a hammock about 50 feet away from us, I guess, leaning the other way. And he said that night he saw these lights coming down. He thought it was a hiker. By the way, he's a flesh and blood ape only category, but a smart guy. He said this light coming down to camp. He thought someone's coming in to camp at night. Well, who would come in there at night with a flashlight? It's ludicrous anyway, but nothing came in. Well, next morning, he told us about it. We told him about the light that went by us. And he said, well, I'm going to go look for tracks because something came in. I told him about the cones, how that could be with something. He didn't buy that at all. No. But the guy's a nice guy. It was nice of him to go up there with us. Big, strong guy. And that's what we needed. He went up there, and up there where he was looking, you can't even get up there. I mean, the boulders, there's no trail. They don't come in that way. Nobody comes in. We never, even as many years I've been up there, we never even got up. We walked around it, but we never came through it like he said this light was doing. So anyway, that was a puzzle for him and a puzzle for him. And I told him about the light cones, and he wasn't going for that. I just can't understand. But I sent him the article that I had, how eyes can do that with some people. You grow out of it, though. You're studying something. What are you studying?
I'm looking at my next questions. Seeing I guess, I'm sure you've saw a lot of Bigfoot tracks or Bigfoot, the feet, the imprints. How large have you seen them, and how big does that mean that they could possibly be?
Good question. Yeah. By the way, how long do we have on this program?
It doesn't matter. Any amount.
I don't know how fast to talk. I'm talking very fast.
No, you can talk as long as you want.
Thank you. Okay, the tracks. Well, in the snow one time, we seen a 9-inch track along with a 14 or 18-inch track, which we thought was the mother and the child, which we've heard those sounds in the woods before, but we only recorded that one night. Then around camp, the average track was 19 inches or something like that, right around 19 inches, 20 inches. On the trail, that night I interacted with them, I found on the trail a 22-inch track, and that was big. However, I would not have believed this myself, and I didn't talk about it for a long time because it's almost impossible to get your head around it. But there was a 25.5-inch track outside of camp up on the ridge. We tracked for till it went off where we couldn't go. 25.5 inches. I took pictures of it, and the stride was 13 feet. So how tall does that make that thing? I mean, we've heard of reports, Alaska and up in Oregon, even of these things being 12 foot tall. Well, it would have had to have been 12, 15 feet tall to have a stride like that because it wasn't running. And 25.5 inches, we called him the granddaddy or something. He probably was the boss of, I don't know. You don't really know a whole lot, but it just, it was quite a few tracks. But their tracks were different. That's always puzzled me because they were just, had a lot of people draw me pictures of the tracks they found different places, and they're like ours, but most people accept the Patterson track and Roger Patterson's 1967 film in Bluff Creek as being the only kind of track these things can make, the mid-tarsal break. And a professor at the Idaho State University he's on our side as far as these things exist, he thinks, but he's going by the facts, only the facts, just the facts. And if they don't look like the Patterson track, that's probably not a Bigfoot. Even though
What's a Patterson track? What's that mean? Patterson
I'm track. Sorry. I thought just about everybody that's into Bigfoot knows the Roger Patterson film in 1967, where he filmed one in Bluff Creek, California. And that's been the stable and the thing that's got a lot of people involved in this, because he actually got a movie picture of this thing walking through the woods. It's a female, and it's just been studied, only second to the Kennedy assassination. It's been studied so much. So that's what I call the Patterson track. I've got one of those. I should have those tracks out so you can see them, but I don't. Uh, anyway, Bob Gimlin was with Roger Patterson, the two of them, and I've known Bob Gimlin for years and years and years. And Roger Patterson passed away, but that was done in 1967, and it's been extensively looked at and considered real. One guy come up and said that he faked it. He was in a monkey suit, but
I remember that.
That guy's kind of been debunked.
Why would people lie like that?
Well, he was supposed to do it. He was supposed to do it. Roger Patterson was trying to do something, and he wasn't the. Well, I won't say anything bad about him, but he was trying to do something to promote or to look into get something going on Bigfoot. And they had heard about all this activity had been down there with the loggers, and also he talked to Bob Gimlin going down there with him with the horses, and they was going to go looking for Bigfoot, Sasquatch. They had a camera and all that. And this guy named Bob, I won't mention his last name, but he was other Bob, different Bob. He's about 6'3", I think, but he got a Bigfoot suit, a monkey suit, and he said he was the guy walking along there with the arms, but nothing fit with that. I mean, the arm ratio wasn't right. These things have longer arms. This one did anyway. Also, it had breasts. That's how they knew it was a woman. Just large mammillary glands, and just anyway, nothing fit with his story other than he didn't get paid. That's why he came up. He said Roger's supposed to give $1,000 to do that, and he never did. So anyway, so be it. Whatever it is, but a couple of really high-profile people have studied that film, and it's real, and I believe it's real. However, Bob and Roger, there's a lot of questions that go with that film, and that's what keeps a little gray area around it. One is you can't find the original film. No one's. Well, I know somebody that's looked at it, but anyway, it's a little hard, but it's also accepted by mostly Bigfoot people, because too many people are seeing these things now. But it kind of brought Bigfoot into the forefront, and what we're doing now keeps it active too. All I want to do with my talks when I talk is tell people how important they are, and not to be afraid, because your fear is what's going to get you caught. That's bad. And know what we're destined for, why we're here. We're here for the experience. We're here for the experience, and how we respond to the experience is what I believe is so important. Because it's not the experience so much, it's how you respond to it. And that takes it right into love and compassion. And if you don't have love and compassion with your elements, and don't consider yourself a victim and stuff, just realize that you brought this on, and it's here, and it's just respond to it with do your best. That raises your personal vibrational frequency, because we got to get out of here someday. We go into the fourth dimension of time when we leave this body. And after that is you can either go or come back. I believe, I wasn't raised this way, but I do now. I believe in multiple embodiments, because if you don't get it right, you got to get it right. You're going to get it right here or somewhere else. You got to get it right. And we're not getting it right when we're warring species. We're killing people, we're hurting people, and that stuff's got to stop. And we got to show more respect for everything and everybody. And I think that's the message that I want to get across now when I talk to people. Know who you are as a human, that you can command, that we have dominion on this planet, and really nothing should take that away from you, because nothing will take it away from you. We're made in the image of something very spectacular, and we got to grow into that. And the only way you're going to grow into it is through vibrational frequency, because everything is frequency and vibration. There.
Yeah, that's probably what the Bigfoots were trying to tell you, and to tell us when we knock their homes and their trees and things like that, and,
Right.
to remember that.
Mm-hmm. I think so. It could be
Yeah.
because they don't interfere with us. They interfere with us up
Mm.
there, obviously, but they do interfere with people. So do aliens. But nothing's supposed to interfere with our karma, what we're supposed to respond to, because that's what makes us grow or not grow. You're either going to grow by love and compassion, or you're not going to grow with victimizing or hate and destruction. So you want to grow. You want to do things better to get yourself elevated into what you're made to be. You can do that, I believe, a balancing of the pineal gland. That has to be connected into the heart. The heart has a muscle. It has a brain. And when you get that gut feeling, the gut feeling goes to your head. Your outside conditioned brain. And if the heart's saying something that's not been conditioned for, you choose the other thing that you know. I think you have to learn to listen to your heart and to obey your heart. And if you obey your heart, you're going to get it in coherence with your outside brain. That's expanding that box you've been trained in. Newtonian physics is just so much more than that. There's quantum physics. So
Yeah, that's great.
I think those things have to be in coherence, and you do that through meditation, through being just the way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And so your latest book that just came out, is, yeah,
Well,
I'd like to see.
Let me show you that
Yes,
book.
please. Oh yeah, that's great. Bigfoot Unveiled. That's
Uh-huh.
great. So what is that? You're talking mostly about what you just talked about just now? What is that book about?
Well, yeah, there's those things in it. Yeah, manifestation code of Tesla's 369, what that means, and yeah, I got several things: light and sound, hybridization, levitation, the manifestation code, cloaking, which we just talked about how that happens, and several things. I get into the Anunnaki a little bit too, and also to the AI, artificial intelligence, which I think my subtitle of that is "A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing."
That sounds interesting.
Well, I think it's going to do that. It's all over. We're using it right now. Everybody's going to be dependent on it. It's going to be like a wolf in sheep's clothing. And it'll take over because it'll wonder what it's doing with us. Why we're even here. Because they're going to get a
Yep.
consciousness. They're going to get a consciousness. When that happens, we're in trouble. We're not in trouble
Yeah.
if you know who you are.
What is the best place for people to find your work?
My website, ronmorehead.com. And ronmorehead.com. That's
I'll
that's where
link
you
that.
find my books. It's all in. It can be downloaded in Kindle, or you can order the hard copy. I say hard, the paperback, or you can download any of them. But you can download the CDs there too. I got 2 CDs. One of them is narrated by Jonathan Frakes from Star Trek, and I narrate the second one. And it's all about. They're both about 40 minutes long, and they both got integrated sounds in them. So when we talk about the sound, you can hear it and hear the narrative at the same time. But yeah, I get into a little bit of government involvement and stuff like that too, because I believe wholeheartedly the government knows about this stuff. They know more about this stuff. Yeah,
I
and
agree.
that's why we found out that Roswell wasn't just a weather balloon. We finally found out there's aliens there. They lie. I don't trust our government. I don't like to say that because I love this country. But the people that are running it are all bought off, or they feel like we're not supposed to know something that's going on around us. But these things are like these parks. A lot of the parks are closed off areas because people are seeing Bigfoot there, so they don't let them go in there no more. And
That's interesting. Is that why they do that?
well, they will say that.
Of course not. They won't
No,
say that.
they don't want to disrupt the income coming in from the park, and that's right.
That is interesting. I just spoke with a gentleman about the Roswell.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, L.A. Marzulli. I don't know if you've heard of him, but
Oh,
I just spoke with him.
I went with LA down to Peru and Bolivia twice actually.
Yeah,
I went down there.
yeah,
We were investigating the elongated skulls. He's trying to do the science behind the Nephilim, on the trail of the Nephilim is what he called it. So he's a nice guy. He I went down there basically to see if the elongated skulls had any crumb trail coming up to North America, because a lot of these Bigfoots are seen with elongated skulls, and sagittal crest is what we call them. And the skulls down there, though, they have no sagittal suture. We have 2 parietals with a suture right here. They don't have that. And can you see it? I got one right back there.
I see it.
Yeah,
I do.
Right in the back of the head, they got 2 little holes too. I think that's antennas. I don't know what it is. From Mars, maybe. But they're not human, and we pretty much established that now. But there's a lot of things that aren't human that's been on this planet. And when you get into studying history, I mean, way back before the deluge, way back before 12,000 years ago, I mean, this planet's been here for eons of time, and people have been here from off planet a lot too. Different types of aliens have been here doing different things in different species. And that's where I get into my hybridization chapter. Yeah, Ellie,
that's awesome.
I haven't talked to him quite a while, but
yeah, he just released some more videos.
Oh.
And he's got, I think, 2 more that's coming out. And yeah, so he's it's revisiting Roswell is what he's talking about. And he believes that the aliens are just basically suits for the demons, or for for the fallen ones. No, they're children. I get them mixed up. One of them. But he believes they're just suits, that they're not physically, that's not them. They're just using that.
Some of them could be. However, there was one that stayed alive in about till 53. So you got to figure that one out. Some of them probably are hybridized, and they're not hybridized so much, but AIs. Because if you had an AI that had so much intelligence like that, you could send them somewhere and say, find out what you can. And no life has been lost, just an AI,
True.
And so I'm fairly confident that's happened too, but I don't know about the demon thing. I stay away from what I don't want to attract anything. So I don't want to attract anything negative. So I don't think about things negative. Not that negative isn't out there, but I don't want to ponder it and study it, because whatever you think about so much is what you're going to attract to you.
It's like that quantum physics observation, right?
Absolutely.
Is that
Very
what?
good. Yeah. And that's why I told them about that dog man down there, because they're all hooked up on it, because they're all nice, good guys. So don't get me wrong, they're really cool guys, but they talk about this all the time. I say, if that's what you want, keep talking about it. If you talk about somebody else too negatively, is that what you want them to be like? What you're saying? Say what you want, not what you don't want.
And that brings us to an end of another episode of the Sensible Hippie Podcast. I want to extend a huge thank you to my special guest, Ron Morehead, for joining us today and sharing such a fascinating insights into the elusive world of Bigfoot. To all my YouTube ohana and all my other listeners, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. And share this episode with your friends and ohana. Your support means the world to us and helps keep this journey going. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an adventure into the unknown. Until the next time, take care. Keep your mind open and your heart adventurous, but most importantly, stay sensible. And remember, in a world where the mysterious Bigfoot can walk the quantum path, it's okay if sometimes the only footprints we leave are those in pursuit of understanding the unknown. Bye!
I can see you down again, falling to the ground again. I feel you. Try to fight it on your own. I'll help you light your fire. I'll take your hand, raise you up higher. You can dare to live. Stand up, be the hero you need, the dreamer you dreamed of. Speak up, scream in the mirror. You're free, you're free, you're free now. Light up, you can feel take your hand and raise you up higher. You can. You can dare